This is Coffee with God, and let us begin this day with the Word of God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 20, verses 1 to 16. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. God's kingdom is like an estate manager who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. They agreed on a wage of $1 a day and went to work. Later, about 9 o'clock, the manager saw some other men hanging around the town square, unemployed. He told them to go to work in the vineyard and he would pay them a fair wage. They went. He did the same thing at noon and again at 3 o'clock. At 5 o'clock he went back and found still others standing around. He said, "Why are you standing around all day doing nothing?" They said, "Because no one hired us." He told them to go to work in his vineyard. When the day's work was over, the owner of the vineyard instructed his foreman, "Call the workers in and pay them their wages. Start with the last hired and go up to the first." Those hired at 5 o'clock came up and were each given $1. When those who were hired first saw that, they assumed they would get far more. But they got the same, each of them $1. Taking the $1, they groused angrily to the manager. "These last workers put in only 1 easy hour, and you just made them equal to us, who slaved all day under a scorching sun." He replied to the one speaking for the rest, "Friend, I haven't been unfair. We agreed on the wage of $1, didn't we? So take it and go. I decided to give the one who came last the same as you. Can't I do what I want with my own money? Are you going to get stingy because I am generous?" Here it is again, the great reversal. Many of the first ending up last, and the last first. The Gospel of the Lord.
Let us now listen to a reflection on this passage by a Claretian missionary, Father Johnson Thurekil. Let God be in control. In the parable of the laborers of the vineyard, we see how things are when God sets the standard. At the same time, it reveals the true face of God that upsets the human calculations. The workers fail to enjoy the reward for their labor because their image of God did not fit into the frame they have molded for Him. Many of us will identify with the upset day laborers. We believe it is against the value of fairness. Jesus' statement may not fit the criteria many of us may attribute to our concept of fair play. However, Jesus challenges us to step beyond our societal norms. The landowner was a generous man and he made the choice to pay each of his laborers a full day's wage, regardless of whether they worked 8 full hours or only 30 minutes. He was fair to the workers who had worked a full day. He paid them the wages they had agreed upon. These workers were jealous and they grumbled. Are we ever jealous or resentful when someone else receives a gift, acclaim, or praise for an act that we think they neither deserved nor earned? Jealousy and resentment may not affect the other person. However, it does affect us. It can eat away at us and make us miserable. When we compare ourselves to others, we typically may judge ourselves as above them or below them. Both judgments damage the other person as well as ourselves. Is it right to look for advantages and priorities before God based on our meticulous living and adherence to all norms? Or do we need to humbly let the grace of God take control of us and guide us irrespective of our personal merits and virtues? When God's action surpasses the human way of acting and reasoning, it can be uncomfortable because we find others receive more than what they deserve. Then one can become ungrateful and fail to find joy to become ungrateful in what one is receiving. What can be our response to God's logic of love manifested in rendering human dignity and solidarity? God is the one who will judge in fairness and truth. We do not have the right to judge others, and yet we do it at all times. Most of us have been gifted with abundant blessings. Today, may we give thanks for the gifts and graces that we have received. May we let go of judgment, envy, and jealousy. If we choose to do this, we will be happier and more peaceful.